Hello everyone, welcome to today's lesson on expanding polynomials. So I actually like last lesson. I said we're gonna work a lot with division with polynomials, but before we do that, we're actually gonna do with more multiplication first. Right? It will become relevant. Why? Because we will need to know how to we'll need to know this for division. Okay, so previously we talked about multiplying one term with a few things in the brackets. Right, but we can do it with two brackets as well, or multiple terms. So right here, we got two terms times two terms. And to figure out what to do, we can first use an area model, right? A nice little visual way to see it. Right? We can set it up like a grid like this. And we multiply all the terms, right? X times x is x squared. X times 5 is 5x. X times 3 is 3x. 3 times 5 is 15. Right? And of course, we just mush them all together. Very importantly, we notice that we got alike terms here. Those x's can be combined to 8x. Okay, and that's it, we're done. Right, and again, this is exactly how we do multiplication, right? Let's say 3 times 4, right? It's pretty much multiplying 4 blocks and then 3 blocks, right? And then just multiply like this. Right? And then we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12. Right, so this is just like how we do multiplication, right? This is how we are doing it with polynomials as well. Okay, so a few more examples. We've got xn plus 2, xn plus 1, x squared, x is x squared, 2 times x is 2x. 1 times x is just x, 2 times 1 is 2. Combine them together. And just like that. Okay? Cn minus 3, Cn minus 4. C times c is c squared, minus 3c, minus 4c. Negative 4 times negative 3 is 12. Positive 12. Minus 4c plus 12. Combine like terms in the middle. Okay, there we go. Area model. Okay, but if you're a fan of flying arrows, like I am, right, we can use the FOIL method. It stands for first, outside, inside, last. I did not know that's what it stood for, actually. I just called it FOIL for no reason. Okay. So what's important here is that we want to make sure that everything, right, everything gets multiplied once. So, let's look at our first arrow here. Right, we have the first term multiplied. Wait, hold on. First, outside, inside. I'm still getting used to it. Right, so first we multiply the outside one to both brackets, and then we multiply the inside term to both terms. First term, x times x is x squared. Okay, next term. Alright, we have x times 7x, so it's plus 7x. Next term, 3 times x is plus 3x. Last term, 3 times 7 is 21. And of course, we combine them. Alright, so it's pretty much the same thing as area model. Right, but this is just like doing algebraically. And you might notice something here. Right. We have x times x, the first two terms multiplied together to get x squared. We have last two terms right here, 3 times 7 to get 21. And then again with 3 and 7, if we add them, we get the middle term. Actually, this will always be the case. Right, so okay, you don't actually have to write all of this out. Right, I'm just showing you that this is what you're supposed to do. That's the normal step. But a shortcut way to go about it is the first term is just the first two terms multiplied together. last term. Last two is the last two terms multiplied together. The middle term is the last two terms added together. Okay, let's try it with negatives. X and x squared, x and plus 2 plus 2x, negative 8 and x minus 8x, negative 8 and 2, negative 16. Combine like terms. Right, once again, the negative 8 times the 2 is the last term, and negative 8 plus 2 as the middle term. Okay? So last term is this times this. The middle term is this plus this. Okay? So that being said, let's practice here. Okay, for this exercise, I will only be using the FOIL method, right? But feel free to use the area model if you like. Alright, so we got x times x squared, 4x, 6x, 24. Combined. X squared, 2x, minus 7x, minus 14. Combine. X squared, minus 5x, minus 4x, plus 20, right? Minus 4 times negative 4 times negative 5 is positive 20. This one's weird. Right, this whole thing is squared, right? So it's the same thing as just this multiplied by itself, right? This squared is just this times multiplied by itself. So same thing. R times R is 4r squared. R times 5t is 10t. Oh, sorry, 10rt. 5t times 2r is 10rt. And then 5t times 5t is 25t squared. Combine them together. Just like that. Okay? And yes, as you can imagine, this works for any bracket, however big you want for the brackets. Right? To expand this, once again, area model, we can illustrate this. That's 2x cubed. This is 6x squared minus 8x. 5x squared, 15x minus 20. Oops. That should be plus. Ooh. Plus 5x, or 15x, minus 20. We got these squares, minus 8x. The square, and then the x by itself. Just like that. And as you can see here, we get the exact same result if we do flying arrows, right? 2x times x squared, 2x plus 3x times 3x, 2x times negative 8. Right, same thing. And of course, our little shortcut method doesn't really work for if it's more than 2 terms. Okay, let's try expanding now. Once again, I will be using algebra, the algebraic method. There we go. 1, 2, 3. 3x cubed minus 6x squared minus 21x. And in the second term, multiply to everything. So 4x minus 8x and then minus 28. We got the squares and then the x. Negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. Negative 21 minus 8 is negative 29. Okay, how about this? Right, we can multiply one at a time. Okay, and next, we FOIL the next one here. Right, that's 3x squared plus 10x. Oh, yeah. And then minus 6x. And then minus 60. Combine them together. 3x squared plus 24x minus 60, 2x minus 1. Okay, once again, we define arrows. So this term times this and that. This term times this and that. And then this term times this and that. Right, so everything gets multiplied once. So 3x squared, 2x, 6x cubed, minus 3x squared, 24x times 2x is 48x squared, and then minus 24x, minus 120x, and then plus 60. Okay, combine them all. Okay, there we go. This is plus 45, minus 144, plus 60. Whew, that was a lot. Okay, now let's do more. What's the area of the shaded region? Alright, so here, to find the area of the shaded region, we can find the area of the big one, and then subtract it by the area of the small one. So the area of the big one is 3x plus 2y times 3x plus 2y. Right here, let's do it separately here. So area of big right? This is 9x squared plus 6xy plus 6xy again. 2y, 2y, 4y squared. Simplified. Okay, that's the area of the big guy. Area of the small guy. We got this times this. Okay. Alright. Yeah, that's a lot of work, isn't it? Yeah, but that's the fun part. Alright, 3, 2x, 6x squared, 3 minus 4, 12x, y, 2x, y minus 4, minus 1, 2x, minus 1, minus 4, positive 4. Combine them. x squared here. Right, we got, let's see, we got minus 12x and then minus 2x. So minus 14x. And then nothing else we can combine here, actually. We have xy, and then a y, and then a constant. Okay, we got a small area and a big area. Now we can just subtract them. Alright, so big minus small. So 9x squared plus 12xy plus 4y squared minus, I remember this whole thing's in brackets, we are minusing, or we are subtracting this clump all in one go. Which means that we have to flip the signs. So that's flipped to minus, that's flipped to plus, that's flipped to minus, that's flipped to plus, that's flipped to minus. Alright, here we go, last up, command-like terms. Isn't this fun? It's so satisfying. Boom, boom. 2y, xy. Okay, that's all we can combine. So, finally we have 3x squared, and then we have a plus 10xy. Right, that's combined. Right, again, we try to make it alphabetical, so we go to 14x next. Right, and then after the x, we go to y. We go with y squared first, because highest power, and then y by itself, and then minus 4. Right, that's the answer. Right? Oh god, that was a lot. And so I just remembered to rearrange your final answer alphabetically and by highest to lowest power. Alright. Yeah, don't worry if you don't get this question right away. This is proficient / extending territory, so it's a very hard question. But this really challenges your number sense, which I think is the fun part, isn't it? Everything's fun for me. But anyways, with expanding, right, all we have to remember is the flying arrows, right? We just have to make sure every single term gets multiplied by all the other every other term exactly once. Right? So I draw arrows to help myself keep track of which term have multiplied, but you don't always have to. You can just write it out like this. Okay, so with that being said, good luck practicing.